Today, let's talk about negative exponents, and in particular, let's see how we are going to add 2 to the negative 3 power with 2 to the negative 4th power. So, if you know the formula already, then you will know that when we have negative power like this, we actually do not get negative result. Instead, we will get fractions. So for this right here, the way to do it is you actually have 1 over, you are going to bring this down to the denominator, and when you do that, you make the power positive. So you actually have 1 over 2 to the positive 3 power. A fraction, it's not negative result. For the second one, do the same thing, 1 over 2 to the positive 4th power. So in fact, we are just talking about how to add the fractions. For the first one, it's 1 over 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. And then for the second one, 2 to the 4th power is 16. To get a common denominator, let's go ahead, multiply the first one by 2 here and 2 here. So we get 2 over 16 plus 1 over 16. Add the tops together, we get 3. And the bottom, you keep them the same, right? Just the 16. So the answer, 3 over 16, and we are done. Now, the main question is, why though? Why do we turn the 2 to the negative 3 power into a fraction, 1 over 2 to the 3rd power? Well, this is the reason why. You can take a look at the pattern. So, I want to start with 2 to the positive 4 power because we all can do this right here by the definition of the exponent. When the power right here, when the exponent right here is a positive whole number, this tells you how many times you have to write down this number base. So in this case, we have to do it 4 times, and then we just multiply them. Work that out, we get 16. Done. Now, 2 to the 3rd power. Right? Earlier was 4, so we wrote down the 2 to 4 times. Right now we have 3. We will write down the 2 3 times. And then multiply them, and we will get 8. Continue. If you look at 2 to the 2nd power, this right here is just 2 times 2, which you get 4. Continue. If you do 2 to the 1st power, you just get 2. Can we keep going? Yes. If you have 2 to the 0th power, in fact, we run into a small trouble, right? Because if you just look at 2 to the 0th power, though, what does this equal to? I don't know, right? But if you look at the side right here, let's take a look at the results. From 16 to 8, from 8 to 4, from 4 to 2, what happens? Well, you can look at this as dividing by 2. How's that? Dividing by 2, dividing by 2. So let's just go ahead, divide by 2. That is a very consistent pattern. Yes, that's it. So you take the 2, divide it by 2, which you get 1. And ladies and gentlemen, this is why that we define when we have a 0th power, we get 1. And you do this when the base is not 0. If you happen to have 0 to a 0th power, nobody agrees that you can never get everybody to agree what the answer is. So it has no agreement. I'm not going to talk about that in this video. But anyways, we are not going to stop right here because today we want to go to the negative exponents. So if you keep on going, 2 to the negative 1, guess what? You just have to keep dividing by 2. 1 divided by 2, you get 1/2. And remember, when you divide it by 2, it's the same as multiply by 1/2. So same as multiplying by 1/2. Now, if I continue 2 to the negative 2, so when I have a fraction, instead of looking at this as divided by 2, just think about 1/2 times 1 over 2, then you will get 1 over 4. And in fact, this is exactly the same as 1 over 2 to the 2nd power. Now, if you keep on going, the next one will be what? 2 to the negative 3 power, you divide the 2 one more time. That's how you end up with 1 over 2 to the 3rd power. And then 2 to the negative 4, you get 1 over 2 to the positive 4 power, etc. So this right here keeps on going forever. Be careful though, because once we have negative exponents right here, will be the Okay, be careful. Notice when we have negative exponents, we will actually be dividing, right? That the base is going to be in the fraction. Okay, now be careful. Notice when we have negative exponents, we actually have to bring this down to the bottom. So you have to be careful. When we have negative exponents, let me just say negative nth power if n is positive. Then if you have 0 for the base, this is no good because you'll be getting 1 over 0 to the positive nth power, and you will be dividing by 0. So don't have 0 for the base if you have negative exponents. Don't do that. But anyways, hopefully this really helps. That's it.